Good morning. Geometry. You guys are all doing well. Getting notes ready here for the lesson. Getting it set up at home. Is that light okay? That seems a little off. Let's see if we can turn that thing off. See if that looks a little better. All right. We've got a lot of shadows and stuff working on. It's not the classroom, so it's not quite as good, is it? Alright, so we're going to be looking at 4.5, which are parallel and perpendicular lines and their equations. Okay, so first of all, parallel lines never intersect. Perpendicular lines create a 90-degree angle. So we know what those are. And so if these are the two types of comparisons we want to look at, it really comes down to the idea of what a slope is. Slope, we know, is the change of y, change of the rise over the run. So that's how we find it. So that's the rise over the run. Okay, and so slope is how much a line goes up or down as you read it from left to right. We always read it from left to right on a graph. And so here's a slope that's not very steep, a much steeper slope, and here's a very gradual slope, and those are all positive. Negative would be slopes that go in this direction. They're going down as you go from left to right. More severe would be like that. Okay, and so really what this section is talking about is two lines which have equal slopes are parallel. So equal slopes mean that the lines are parallel. That's pretty simple, I think. The more difficult one is the perpendicular lines. Okay? And so what that would look like, of course, it could be anything like this, but wherever it is, the lines would end up making four right angles. Okay, so that's what we're looking at today. All right, so in section 4.5, we talked about parallel, but perpendicular lines, have opposite reciprocals as slopes. Okay, so what does that mean? All right, so if I've got two lines, okay, so we'll say line M, and it has a slope of 1/3, then the perpendicular line, we'll call it N, would have to be -3/1, because these have to be opposite reciprocals. Okay, so let's just throw some numbers up there. So let's say I have 2/5 for a slope. Then the perpendicular slope, we would be doing this in class if I had you call on you, but I want you to just think through this with me right now. If that's 2/5, then the perpendicular slope has to be 5/2. Okay, so if the slope is 3/4, then the perpendicular slope is -4/3. Okay, if the slope is 1/3, then the perpendicular slope, we already did this one, is -3/1. If the perpendicular slope is 0, what do we do there? Because we got to switch it, and we can't have it, so the perpendicular slope would be undefined. Because a 0 slope is horizontal, and so the perpendicular to horizontal would be a vertical. Okay, so those are kind of rare examples. What if we have a slope of 1? Then the perpendicular slope would be -1. You can always write them as a fraction 1 over 1 at any time. You can put it over 1. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, here's an interesting thing, too, that we can take away from this without looking at anything in the book, just my notes, that if we were to multiply the slope and the perpendicular slope. Okay, so I'm just using this symbol, perpendicular symbol, as I described this, just the regular slope and the perpendicular slope. So we're multiplying two different things. We're multiplying 2/5 times -5/2. Remember, they're opposite reciprocals. If we were to multiply those, we get -10 over 10, which is -1. About ran out of space on the paper. Let's try that again. So let's take the next one. 3/4 times -4/3. -12 over 12. Huh. Do you think it's always true? Let's keep going. 1/3 times -3 over 1 is -3 over 3, which is negative. So this is an exception, so we're not going to do that one. And then we have 1 times -1, -1 over 1, still -1. It is always true. We kind of set up this little chart, and it is always true. So make sure you have this in your notes. So not only do perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocals as slopes, the product of the slopes of perpendicular lines is -1. So make sure you remember that and recall it. The product means multiplication. The product of the slopes of perpendicular lines is -1. All right, so now we got to find some equations. Okay, so that kind of does it for kind of the background of this. So in our book, if you don't have your book, you can go online. Okay, I want to look at your turn number 4 and number 5. It's on page 207. Page 207. Your turn. It's on the screen there. Your turn. Number 4. We're going to do number 5 as well. All right. So number 4. Make sure I can see it. All right. It says the line parallel to y equals -x. So we have y equals -x. And we want to find the equation of the line parallel that passes through 5 and 2.5. So it's parallel to this line and passes through 5 and 2.5. You know what? You don't need to do this, but I'm going to do it real quick just to help you see it a little bit. Let's look at a graph. Okay, so if I've got y equals -x, we know what that line is. We've looked at that quite a bit. So that's right here. All right, so we want the line that's parallel to that. There's y equals -x. -1 is a slope, and it goes through the origin. And it goes through 5 and 2.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2.5. Looks like it's about right there. So if I were just to freehand it, okay, I would know that it's going to look like this, my result. I didn't do a very good job. That's got some waves in it, but it would look something like that. All right, and so, okay, so, well, we know everything we need to know, other than we need to recall point slope form, because that's what we have at our disposal. We know a point that it's going through. That's the point, and we know the slope. That's -1 point slope form. Okay, and so the point slope form is y minus y1 is equal to the slope of x minus x1. We've worked on this for a little while now, so shouldn't be anything new to you. And now we take let me write it officially. We know that the slope is -1. Now, the reason why is because the problem said that it was parallel So we know that it has the exact same slope. Parallel, exact same slope. What if it were perpendicular? Well, then we would use positive 1 because that's the opposite reciprocal. And nothing else would change. Okay, so now it's a substitution problem. Back to algebra. We're going to take the slope value, we're going to put it into there. We're going to take the x value, we're going to put it into there. And we're going to take the y value, and we're going to put it into there. So it becomes a substitution problem. And so we end up with y minus 2.5 is equal to the slope, which is negative 1, and then x minus 5. All right, let's simplify. Let's distribute the negative 1. So we have y minus 2.5. You guys still see on the screen with the shadow. Ugh, sorry about that. And then we have negative 1x, because we're going to distribute. And that's plus 5. All right, so now we're going to add 2.5 to both sides. And now we have y is equal to negative 1x, same slope. I like that. And then it's equal, plus 7.5. And that's the equation that we were going for. Let's go back to our line here. How bad was my curved blue line? It should cross at 7.5 right here where my pinky is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, not very good. So it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I should have that right there. So, yeah, that does look a little bit better, doesn't it? Okay. All right. So that was your turn number 4. Let's take a look at your turn number 5. All right. Trying to get through this so it's not too long of a video for you, but you get a good glimpse of everything that we got to do. Oh, you know what? This is another parallel line. Okay, well, we'll do it quick. All right, it says, my eyes can see it, with the line which is parallel to y is equal to 3 halves x plus 4. Okay, so it's parallel to 3 halves x plus 4. And then that passes through negative 4, 0. Okay, so it passes through negative 4, 0. All right, so slope is 3 halves. We know that's the parallel slope as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and substitute it straight in. Y minus 0 is equal to 3 halves x minus 4. No, I caught myself there. Can't be x minus 4. This has got to be x plus 4 because it's a negative 4 and we subtract. So it's going to be x minus a negative 4. Now let's distribute. We don't do anything to that 0, so that just drops away. So we have 3 halves x. 3 halves. What's 3 halves? I know you guys don't like fractions. What's 3 halves times 4? Well, you could reduce it first and get 6, or you can just multiply. Think of that as 3 and end up 12 over 2 and get 6. There's a couple different ways to multiply that. So 3 halves x, and then this would be plus 6. Yes. All right. Questions? Can't ask them anyway, but if you do, make sure you send them to me in an email or however you guys can get a hold of me. Okay, so what did that look like over here? Okay, well, if we had 3 halves x plus 4, it means the y-intercept would be, let me move this so you can see it, plus 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 3 over 2, 1, 2, 3 over 2. So there's the original. Straight line drawing isn't very good. Should be the straight edge. So there's the original, and then what's the new one? The same thing, but it's plus 6. So it'll be here, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. All right, so there's our 2 lines. All right. Let's move on. All right, so now let's do the exact same thing with perpendicular. Let's just go ahead and go over to page, what is that, 208. All right, page 208. We're going to do your turn. Let's go, is that 7? Yeah, number 7. By the way, I look a lot different. Oh, I haven't shaved in a while. say hi. You guys can make fun of me, but let's see if I can do it. Hello. There's our home too. Yeah. So yeah, rough. But I don't know if I'm gonna shave or not. So. All right. Hope you guys are doing well and didn't stay up and watch that election stuff. That was a mess. Okay, so let's go back to here. And we got page 208. We're going to do, enlarge the screen. 208 line. Oh, yeah, now we're doing perpendicular. Okay, so very similar to what we just did on example 5, but this time we're doing it number 7. So here's the original. Y is equal to 3/2 x plus 2. And perpendicular now. So that's a big difference. Similar, but big difference. Perpendicular to that line, and it passes through the point 3, -1. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, let's get a different color up here. Use a pencil. All right, so the first thing we got to do is determine, all right, what's the slope? Now this is already in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form, to remind you from algebra. Y is equal to mx plus b. Slope is the m, and the b is the y-intercept. Okay, so that's how we start to graph things. Okay, and so that means the slope is 3/2. All right, so now before, on the previous problem, we just said that the slope was the exact same because they were parallel. Well, since it's perpendicular, we have to go perpendicular slope, just like that chart that we did earlier, and we go -2/3. And so we know that we have a slope of -2/3, and it goes to the point of +3, -1. This is all the information we need. Now we're going to put it into the slope-intercept form. Sorry, you can use slope-intercept form, but we're going to put it into the point-slope form. So it'll be y plus 1. Be very careful with your negatives. Y minus 1. We made the mistake in the last one. We have -2/3, and then x minus 3. -2/3, x minus 3. All right, so what's that mean? All right, so that means we're going to take this and distribute. So now we have y plus 1 is equal to -2/3 x. Now be careful. If you have to come off to the side over here and multiply by 3 and work with that, then do that. But don't allow yourself to make a mistake just because you're in a rush or you don't like fractions. Okay, so a negative and a negative makes it positive. A negative and a negative makes it positive. And then the 3 is actually reduced to 1, so we end up with 2. All right, so now we got to subtract 1 from both sides algebraically. So y is equal to -2/3 x. Looks like plus 1. And there is our final equation of the line. Just verifying, yeah, we got everything right. You know what? Let's on this one we haven't. We need to do this. Let's go ahead and take a look at this on a graph. I got a graph down here. I'll flip it over. Can we get everything in there? I think so. All right. So the original line was y is equal to 3/2 x plus 2. Okay. So 1, 2, and then up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 2. Up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 2. Okay, so if I had a straight edge, it'd look a lot better. But now I'll just make the best of it. All right, so there we go. There's the original. All right, so now the perpendicular has a slope of -2/3, and we ended up having it be -2/3 plus 1. Okay, so that means right here, plus 1 is the y-intercept. That's my y-intercept. So I'm going to just write it here. So y is equal to -2/3 x plus 1. Okay, so there's 1. And now we go -2/3. Now how do we do that? Well, we go -2. So here, slope of -2/3. This is the rise, which is -2. So we go 1, 2, and then the run is +3. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it again. Down 2 and over 3. Down 2 and over 3. See a little staircase being made. All right, so let's use a different color. All right, so we were at 1, and now we're going to connect these. I'll do my best to get it somewhat straight. What if we want to go the other way? All right, well, how do we do 2/3 but going this way? Well, we just switch it. We go 2, -3. Watch this. So we go 1, 2, and then we go -3. 1, 2, 3. So you can go either way. So there. Now, do they look like they're 90 degrees? Sure does to me. So, perpendicular line that goes to the point of, what was the point that it went through? 3, -1. Let's see, did it? 1, 2, 3, yeah, right there. 3, -1. Okay, good. Let's do number 8. And how are we doing on time? Well, let's just keep going here. And we'll see. Maybe we'll do one of the homework problems for you. All right, number 8. It says, the line perpendicular to y is equal to -4x. Okay, y is equal to -4x. All right, so slope is -4. The perpendicular slope, this is the same pattern we're doing, it would be +1/4. +1/4. Let me get a drink of coffee. Early in the morning here. So most of you probably aren't awake yet. All right, and so then it also goes through the point. Oh, the origin. Oh, that passes through 0, 0. Boy, this is going to actually be easier. All right, so we have y minus 0 is equal to the perpendicular slope, which is 1/4, and then x minus 0. And so we have y, we can drop that one off. 1/4 x as we distribute. 1/4 times 0 is 0. And we're done. All right, that was really simple. Let's go to the homework here. See which ones of these I want us to work on. All right, so good. See that. Yeah, you know what? They're just like the ones we just did, so I don't think we're going to do anything. We're just going to give you the assignment. All right, so we're going to start on page 209, the assignment. And remember now, when you want to label this, you have to label this at the top of your page. You got to put your name, the assignment, and then whatever it is. Let's go ahead and say what I want it to be. Let's go 1 through. We'll go 1 through 15. I don't think we need to do number 16. And then we'll do. We don't need to do that one. Yep, I want to do 18. That's important. Yes, I want to do 19. That was important. Okay, I'll stop there. And so then you do that, and then you also got to put your class periods. So what I mean by that is I'm in period 4 or something like that, 4th period. So don't forget that you have to label the assignment. Make sure you put your name. There's 3 parts to a label: your name, the assignment, and period 4. All right, guys. I hope you guys are doing great. And I'm going to log off here. And before I do, just say bye and wish you guys well. I don't know what next week looks like. From what I've heard, it's going to be a hybrid, but they're probably going to divide it up by alphabet. So I don't know. I just whatever. We're gonna get through it though. And there's just things geometry wise that we've got to get done, and we'll just keep pushing through. And I appreciate your guys' flexibility, and we'll be fine. What I can't have though is you just not staying up, in line with us. Just dropping off and not doing the homework. Saying, "Oh, I got to work. I got to do that." No, 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 no. We're still in school. Come on now, we're still in school, and so. All right. Well, yesterday we had a video that kind of went over this with our friend, our online friend that we've never met, and then today, we're giving you a little bit more from me, which hopefully you're used to that style, and now you got some homework to do to show that you know how you're doing it, and then I'll have it all on Canvas here probably within the next 15-20 minutes. All right. So have a good day. And if I don't see you, enjoy the weather. Go for a walk. It is beautiful. The next 4 or 5 days is going to be beautiful. We may not have this kind of weather again until, next April. So enjoy this November weather. So, all right. Take care, and make sure you get this done.